Hi, Melanie. I'm Deb with Queerstrology, and I'm about to read your natal chart. Thank you so much for getting this reading. I'm sorry for the confusion at the beginning there, but I think it's been remedied at this point, so hopefully. Anyway, I will be referencing that PDF that I sent you, and we will definitely be talking about the relationship aspects and your career and things like that. Obviously, I don't know you personally, so anything that I say here is basically what I can see in your chart. And I want to start out by saying, let me say that you were born on November 24th, 1982, and you were born at 3:08 p.m. in Fort Worth. I like to start out talking about how I feel about astrology and what this means for me and how I approach it. So astrology isn't an exacting science, right? It's not going to tell us exacting things. It's going to give us a direction for our intention or focus. If you might find a speed bump here, or this might flow easily for you there. The fact that you're even getting a reading is already indicating to me that your intentions are to try to be a better person. Okay? So I just like to start off saying that. Now, you can reference and actually pull up the PDF and go through it as you're either listening to this or watching it. We're going to start out with describing your chart in general. There are numbers in the middle. Those numbers represent the house numbers. You will see that they go counterclockwise in order. They represent where something is going to happen and how it's going to play out in your life. The signs are, as you can see, are out on the outer edge. So everybody has every single sign within their life path. And this is the attitude you're going to bring to that section of your life. Placements, right? There's thousands and thousands of placements out there and points. We just talk about the closest ones. When you have a point in a house, that's going to bring you extra focus. So as we go through, I will reiterate this, but I kind of wanted to give you an overarching idea of what we're talking about as we're going through your chart. You see all those lines that are going all over the place? Those are called aspects. Those points of focuses are interacting with each other. And that we'll talk about at the end of this reading. We're going to start with the first house. Your first house, you'll see it's all the way there on the left. The first house of self, that's what starts your chart. It's represented by the constellation that was on the horizon at the time that you were born. The ruler of this house is also the ruler of your entire chart. It's your public face, the filter, the sign that people that first meet you or acquaintances might think of you as. You are an Aries rising. That means that people are going to view you as very independent. You're going to have a lot of energy, very youthful feeling. And it can indicate that you make quick decisions in regard to yourself, since it's in the first house of self. However, it does rule your entire chart, so you might feel as though you rush into things in different parts of your life. That could be your Aries rising. Now, I do want to point out that you have something that we call a native chart. Aries is the native ruler of the first house because it's the baby sign, it's the first sign. So your chart, and it goes like this, it's consistent throughout and all the way around, you natively have the ruler for each house. So what does that mean? That means that when you have the ruler and the house that have the same kind of energy to them, it's just going to amplify whatever that is. So as I'm talking about the house, keep that in mind. As an example, this first one, Aries is self. And so you're going to have very, very quick self, very amplified Aries energy when it comes to you. Now, when we go to the second house, yours, you'll see there is ruled by Taurus. If you look where there's the 1, 2, 3 as it goes around counterclockwise, you'll see that dotted line that goes from the numbers out to where those signs are. That dotted line, as you go around, so you can see your ASC is on the first dotted line, and then going counterclockwise, that is the cusp line for your house. So your ASC is always on the cusp line of your first house. That cusp line on the second house, follow that out, it's in Taurus. Whatever sign sits on that line, even if it's just a little tiny degree, it still rules that house. Yours is ruled by Taurus. The second house is the house of value. So this is going to give you impeccable taste, and you'll find value in security and luxury. Now, if we go to the third house is communication. Yours is ruled by Gemini. And so that means you're going to have intelligent, you're going to be very skillful in how you think and communicate. Now, as we move down to your fourth house, the fourth house, that's the house of home, your domestic life. Yours is ruled by Cancer, which is, the domestic sign. And it means that you're going to crave a nurturing and emotionally fulfilling domestic life. As we move to the fifth house is creativity, natively ruled by Leo, and so is yours. And that means you're going to be very playful and grand in how you create. You like to make statements. That's how you'd like to express yourself creatively. Your sixth house is the house of routine. Yours is ruled by Virgo. That means you'll be very detailed in your acts of service. This house is also the house of health. Since yours is ruled by Virgo, it's for you to look at ill health and anything that has to do with intestine. Now, what that means is it doesn't mean that anything is exactly going to happen. It just means if you are concerned about it at all, have it looked at. It's just an extra precautionary area. Now, when you move over to the seventh house, this is the house of relationships. Now, you've talked about the fact that you've been single for a long time. And I get that. But I want to say to you that you have Libra ruling your house of relationships. It wants balance. It's a little bit picky. And surprisingly, the fact that you've been single is actually very good. It means that you have been containing your need to balance everything by appeasing other people. Now, when you have this, since you have this innate ability to balance relationships, you will crave that and you'll look for it. So you might not want to get involved with something you feel is unbalanced. That's a good thing. We can see that you have two placements there. And there's one of the placements is the generational planet of Pluto. And this is the planet of transformation. So in your house of relationships, that means that you're going to need balance in the responsibility with the people that you connect with in all kinds of relationships, work, love, all of that, even family. And then you also have Saturn here, which is the planet of restriction. But what it's going to do, it doesn't mean that you're going to be restricted in your relationships in any other sense than you will be very selective and intentional with who you connect with. Okay? Remember how important your fourth house Cancer is. You will guard your home and your domestic life. Oh, if that's the case, then when you move to your relationships, you will want that balance. That restriction, that Saturn is actually there to help you balance. So just know that slow and steady for you and balanced situations are what you will need in relationship. And honestly, intuitively speaking, I'm getting a Taurus energy for you. Somebody who's like a Taurus, that has a lot of value in treating you equally. That would be something that I think that you would really appeal to, because they're slow and steady and they're just secure. And that's what I see for you for some reason. That's purely intuitive, not in your chart, okay? So as we move on to the eighth house of power, yours is ruled by Scorpio. And this house is also the house of death. Death meaning rebirth, like you end things and you are rebirthed in them. It also means like sex or sensuality in general, the taboo things, and pursuit of honesty and truth. You have an eighth house stellium, which is 3 or more points in the same house or sign. And in your case, because it's an eighth house, this means you ooze sensuality and you're very mysterious. So you have the planet of expansion here in Scorpio. This is going to give you the ability to seek the deepest of truths. You are a detective when it comes to finding out information and seeking the truth. You also have a Sagittarius stellium. You have 4 of your 5 Sagittarius placements are in the 8th house. The first one is the sun, and your sun is your ego. So this means that your experience and knowledge are destined to be powerful. So you have a powerful destiny before you. The generational planet of Uranus is also here. Now, that means it's the planet of change. It's the social planet. And for you, because it's here, you're going to welcome shifts of transformation. In fact, you're going to value them and think they're important. You can see how it will make you more powerful. So as you transform, you can see what kind of power you grow into. Mercury is the planet of communication. And here it's going to bring you a purpose and a motivation to how you communicate. And it's going to be in a transformative way or to gain more power or understanding. Now, you also have the planet of love, your surrendering energy, your bottom energy, if you will. This indicates that you're going to crave purposeful motivation, and specifically in things that you love. So you will love things, but you would like to have some sort of purposeful motivation behind them. And you will want to feel that it's going to either transform you or it's going to give you more power. That being said, Sagittarius in general is the sign of experience, higher education. They are the sign that tends to know it all. And they act like they know it all, and people get rubbed the wrong way sometimes. However, the problem is they do kind of know it all. So just know that your Sag being so strong in the house of power and taboo. I mean, you're talking about communication, your ego, how you are socially with groups, and what you love. It's fiery. And it wants education and it wants experience, okay? Now you bring that into your house of experience because that's the 9th house. The 9th house is the house of higher learning and adventure. Your 5th point in your Sagittarius stellium, you have the other generational planet of Neptune. And this is intuition, dreams, the unseen. So you can see the unseen path to faith, and having faith, like you can understand that you don't have to see something in order to believe that it can happen. And your experience and education tell you that that's the case because that's your Sagittarius. Now, when we're going to talk about your career more now, because when we go to the 10th house on the cusp, that dotted line, right? That dashed line, sorry. That's going up there. You'll see an MC. That's your midheaven, okay? This is your planet or your area of ambition. And it is natively ruled by Capricorn, the most ambitious of signs, right? Now, this is going to represent your accomplishments, your sense of responsibility, and what your standing is in the public, okay? You also have something called an IC, which is an enum coli. This is the root of your ambition, where your root has come from, and it is always on the cusp of the 4th house, okay? So for you, that's Cancer. So your IC is in Cancer, okay? Now, your midheaven that I was just referring to, your ambition, how you're seen, because it's Capricorn, you are seen, and your ambition is to be seen as a boss, having a legacy, somebody who garners respect, okay? It's rooted in you being comforted and isolated and cozy, okay? You need to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and go after the things that you're ambitious for. And let me tell you something, you can do it. You know why I know you can do it? Because not only do you have a Capricorn MC, which can pretty much do anything, right? You have a placement here, and not just any placement, but you have Mars in Capricorn in your 10th house. Mars is your dominant energy, your top energy, passion, the things that you are really focused about, right? So that's going to bring you extra focus to your ambition, and you're going to want to be ambitious. Find something that you're passionate about and link that with your career, and you can just know that you can do that. It's there. It's saying that you have the power to be like anything you want, basically, as long as you're passionate about it. Your 11th house of networking and socialization is ruled by Aquarius. So that means that you are going to be very contemplative in your ideals on things and a true collaborator. You really enjoy collaborating, especially for the greater good. Your 12th house is your subconscious, the wise house, and yours is ruled by Pisces. So you have this ability to comprehend and understand others' intentions. you also have your emotions here. So you should trust your gut, and other people should also trust your gut. So now I'm going to cover some of the aspects of your chart. I'm not going to talk about every single one, but I would like for you to know that if you type in whatever I've written here, like Sun conjunction Mercury as an example, and you type the word natal, Natal after it, you can read a whole bunch of stuff on that particular aspect. I am going to talk about at least one aspect on each so I can explain to you what they mean and what that looks like in your chart so you can read it when you're looking at it. Conjunction is when the signs are within 10 degrees of each other and it's blended energy. It's hard to even tell one from the other. So when you look at yours, you have the Sun in conjunction with Mercury. Sun is your ego conjunction, which means it's blended with your communication. So your ego is blended with your communication. That gives you the mental acuity. Now, when you move to the next one, sextile, which is represented by this like dark purple line here, that's 2 signs apart. So 60 degrees or so. This is more like they're walking down the street, maybe holding hands and skipping. They're friends, they're buddies. You can totally tell them apart. They're independent, but they like to hang out. Okay. Your first one is the moon is sextile to your Mars. So that's your emotions that's cooperating with your passion, which is going to give you a passionate life. Then as you go down to the next one, which is square, that's 3 signs, 90 degrees. They're squared up. They're in conflict with each other. So they see each other and they're like, what are you doing over there? I don't like that. And they argue a little bit, okay? They don't have the best relationship. For you, Mars square to your ascendant, or square ASC as it's written there, that's going to give you this appearance of a tough outer shell. Because your ascendant is your filter to the world and Mars is strong. I'm a warrior. That's how that's going to come off to other people. Trines are 120 degrees apart and they're usually within the same element. They're in sync with each other. They're flowing, okay? They flow really well together. And you have Neptune trine your ascendant. Your dreams are in sync with your public filter. That gives you this intuitive spirituality. I don't have any oppositions listed for you here, but you could have oppositions the more points you add. If you do, what that means is they push and pull each other. It's actually one of my favorite placements. It creates a friction where one will do something and the other one's like, hey, I can do that better, and vice versa. So they kind of go back and forth. So that's what an opposition is. I hope that helped, and I hope that I covered everything that you were thinking about. Please, if you do have any other questions, by all means ask. I'm so glad that you got a reading and we figured this out. So I hope you're well and staying safe, and thank you again. Cheers.